My fiancé suggested an open relationship, just for her. I agreed to follow the rules, but now she's begging me to stop. I should have realized something was off when Rachel started talking about relationships evolving. At first, it was subtle, like small comments about how people change over time, how modern relationships aren't meant to be so rigid, and how we should never stop growing as individuals. I thought she was just being philosophical. Turns out she was setting the stage. One evening, while we were having dinner, she finally said it. "I've been thinking," she started, twirling her fork in her pasta. "Maybe we should try an open relationship." I almost laughed, waiting for her to say it was a joke, but she wasn't joking. She was dead serious. I put my drink down. "An open relationship?" Rachel nodded, as if this was some deep, enlightened conversation, and not the most absurd thing I'd heard all week. "I just feel like we've been together for so long. And I love you. But I think we should be open to new experiences before we settle down completely." There it was, the unspoken part. She wanted to try other people, but still wanted me waiting for her when she was done. I leaned back in my chair, watching her carefully. "So, you're saying you want to sleep with other people?" Rachel sighed, as if I were being immature. "It's not just about sex. It's about growth, freedom. I don't want us to feel trapped. You get what I mean, right?" Oh, I got it loud and clear. Rachel wasn't interested in growth. She was interested in someone else. And she was setting up rules to keep me from interfering. I stayed quiet, waiting. And just like I expected, she kept going. She had already thought this through. She wasn't asking, she was convincing. "Listen," she continued, reaching for my hand. "I know this might be weird at first, but I know you. You're not the type to, go around chasing random girls. That's not really you." There it was, the first trap. "Not really me?" I repeated, raising an eyebrow. She smiled, soft and knowing. "You're just so loyal and emotionally mature. You wouldn't want meaningless flings. You're not like other guys who act on impulse." Translation: I'm the safe, stable option. So, be a good boy and wait while I go have my fun. I felt my jaw tighten, but she wasn't done. "Besides," she added casually, "it's different for men and women. Women are more selective. Our connections are deeper. If I ever explored something, it would be meaningful. But for you, I just don't think you'd even want that." That was the second trap. She was trying to box me in. If I said no, she'd call me insecure. If I said yes, she'd act like I was betraying her. Either way, she'd get what she wanted. I took a slow breath, keeping my expression neutral. "So, you want to see other people because you feel like you're missing out. But you don't think I'd feel the same way?" Rachel smiled again, thinking she had won. "Exactly. I know you, babe." "No," I replied. "You think you know me, but I just figured you out." I should have felt betrayed or angry, but honestly I felt calm. I saw through every word. Rachel didn't want an open relationship. She wanted a free pass to cheat, while keeping me as her safety net. She had already chosen someone else, already planned how to justify it. And the best part? She had convinced herself I wouldn't do anything about it. I could see it in her face, the satisfaction, the certainty. She thought I'd sit back like a loyal placeholder while she went and explored. That's when I made my decision. I was going to give her exactly what she asked for. And she was going to regret every second of it. I didn't agree right away. If I had, Rachel would have gotten suspicious. She expected some pushback, some hurt feelings, some confusion. She already had a plan to guilt-trip me into agreeing. So I played along. I leaned back in my chair, furrowing my brow like I was processing it all. Then after a few moments I let out a slow breath. "I don't know, Rachel. This just doesn't feel right." She softened, reaching across the table to hold my hand. "I get that, babe. I really do. But I think this is what's best for us." "For me," I corrected quietly. There it was again. "For me." I made sure to look unsure, hesitant. I let Rachel talk. I let her go on about how monogamy was outdated, how we should trust each other, and how she wasn't looking to replace me, just to expand her experiences. She was so confident, so sure I would bend to her rules. And that's exactly why she never noticed when I started digging. Over the next few days, I kept up the act. I wasn't angry or bitter. I was just thinking things over. Rachel, in return, was patient, at least outwardly. but I could see the cracks in her behavior. She started checking her phone more often, texting late at night, stepping out of the room to take calls. She was waiting for me to give in, and waiting for her new guy to slip into place. And sure enough, I didn't have to dig far. A few nights later, Rachel fell asleep early on the couch, her phone next to her with the screen unlocked. I glanced at it just one look. That's when I saw his name, Trevor. I recognized it instantly. Trevor was an old friend of hers from college, the guy she always swore was just a friend. The guy she reconnected with last month, when she started talking about personal growth. The guy who sent her a very interesting text. Can't wait to finally have you the way I always wanted. It's going to be so much better now that I know better. My stomach tightened, but I didn't react. Because in that moment, everything clicked into place. Rachel never wanted an open relationship. She wanted me to accept her cheating as normal, and she thought she had me right where she wanted me. She had no idea what was coming next. The next day, I sat Rachel down. I sighed, rubbed my temples, and played the reluctant boyfriend. Finally, I said, "Okay, I'll try it." Her eyes lit up. She tried to hide it, but I could see the thrill, the sheer relief that I had finally caved. She kissed me, gushing about how mature I was being, how this would make us stronger. She went on about boundaries, honesty, and rules. It was all a show, because that night, she left to grab drinks with some friends. But I knew exactly who she was seeing. And the best part, she thought I was sitting at home loyal and waiting. That's when I made my move. I didn't just go after any random woman. That would have been too easy. I went after her best friend, Emily. Emily and I had never been close. She was always more Rachel's friend than mine. But here's the thing. Emily hated cheaters, and she had always suspected Rachel was up to something. So when I texted Emily, asking if she wanted to grab a drink and talk about something important, she was intrigued. One drink turned into two, then three. I didn't even have to try. Emily had always seen Rachel as selfish and manipulative. So when I finally told her the truth about the open relationship Rachel had engineered to justify her cheating, Emily was furious. And then, to my surprise, she leaned in and said, "You know, I've always wondered what it would be like to date someone who actually respects." I smiled. "Well, lucky for you, I'm single now." She laughed. And that's when I knew this wasn't just about revenge anymore. I was going to enjoy this. A few nights later, Rachel came home late, smiling and relaxed. She kissed me on the cheek and asked, "How was your night?" I smirked. "Oh, it was great." Then, just as she was about to walk into the bedroom, I casually added, "Emily says hi." She froze, slowly turned and looked at me. I shrugged, playing it cool. "Yeah, I was out with Emily tonight. We talked a lot, had some drinks. Had a great time." Rachel's face fell. I could practically see the gears turning in her head. This wasn't part of the plan. I wasn't supposed to actually do anything. I was supposed to sit and wait while she explored. Now her best friend had just become her biggest nightmare. Rachel knew something was wrong ever since that I mentioned Emily's name that night. And Rachel's confidence wasn't as effortless anymore. She started asking more questions, casually trying to figure out if I was actually seeing someone, or if I was just trying to get under her skin. But she never confronted me directly because, in her mind, I was still her safety net. She had Trevor, her little side fling, and she thought she had control. That was until Emily made it public. It was a Saturday night, and I was out with Emily. Nothing crazy. Just dinner, a few drinks, and some laughs. But Emily had a plan. As we were sitting there, she smirked and pulled out her phone. "Want to ruin Rachel's night?" she asked. I raised an eyebrow. "I'm listening." She grinned and took a selfie of us, leaning close, smiling with drinks in hand. Then she posted it with the caption, "When your best friend fumbles a good one, and you don't mind catching him instead." I almost choked on my drink. "Emily." I laughed, shaking my head. "You are evil." She just sipped her cocktail. "Oh babe, you haven't seen evil yet." Rachel saw it immediately. How do I know? Because not even 15 minutes later, my phone started blowing up. At first it was just passive-aggressive texts. "Really? Wow. Didn't think you'd stoop this low. So you were just waiting to sleep with my best friend? Unbelievable." When I didn't reply, she started calling. I ignored her. 5 minutes later, Emily's phone lit up. Rachel, Emily grinned. Want to answer? I shook my head. Let her simmer. And oh boy did she simmer. Rachel couldn't handle the radio silence. So instead of waiting for a response, she showed up. We were still at the bar when I saw her storming through the entrance, eyes locked on me like a heat-seeking missile. People actually turned to look, because she was fuming. She stomped right up to the table, ignoring Emily completely. What the hell do you think you're doing? She hissed, her voice low but dripping with venom. I blinked, took a slow sip of my drink. Having dinner. Her jaw clenched as she gestured toward Emily, like she was a piece of trash. Emily just smirked, completely unbothered. Rachel scoffed, her voice rising. Are you seriously sleeping with my best friend? The bar had gone quiet. People were watching. Emily raised an eyebrow. You mean the best friend you ignored for months while screwing Trevor? Rachel flinched. That was the moment she realized she had no moral high ground. No sympathy to play for. No way to spin this. And worse, Emily wasn't even being petty. She was just better at this than Rachel was. Rachel's hands curled into fists, her face bright red. Not just with anger, but with embarrassment. This was never supposed to happen. I was supposed to be waiting for her. But instead, I had moved on, with someone better. Rachel tried one last card. Her voice turned pleading. Come on, we're engaged. We've been together for years. You're really throwing all of that away for this. I leaned forward and smiled. No, Rachel. You threw it away the moment you decided I wasn't enough. She opened her mouth, then closed it because she knew she had nothing left. She had gambled. She had bet that I would always be there waiting. And she lost. Rachel stormed out. And I finished my drink unbothered. Rachel thought that was the end of it. That she could just walk away, lick her wounds, and run back to Trevor, the guy she threw our relationship away for. But life had one last slap waiting for her. A few days later, Emily and I were out grabbing coffee, when she suddenly burst out laughing. I raised an eyebrow. What? She turned her phone screen toward me. It was a text from a mutual friend. Rachel and Trevor broke up. Apparently, Trevor found out about her meltdown at the bar. Someone had filmed it. Her storming in, screaming at me, making a fool of herself. Trevor was not impressed. It turns out he actually thought Rachel's open relationship was real. That she and I had both agreed on it in a mature, mutual way. When he saw the video, he realized she was never polyamorous or exploring. She was just a liar. And Trevor? He didn't like being used, so he dumped her over text. Poetic. A few nights later, Rachel tried one last time to regain some semblance of power. She texted me, I hope you're happy. I stared at it for a second, then typed back, I am, thanks for asking. Blocked. And just like that, Rachel was gone for good. Emily smirked at me as I put my phone down. Well, that was satisfying. I grinned. Yeah, it was. I never expected to end up with Emily, but as we sat there talking, laughing, actually enjoying each other's company, I realized something. I wasn't just getting revenge. I was actually better off. Rachel thought she was making a power move by forcing me into an open relationship. She thought she could have it all. Me as her backup, Trevor as her fun on the side. Instead, she ended up alone. And I walked away with something better.